I lost everything I thought defined me. My family, my fortune, my identity. Emily told the audience, her voice steady, but filled with raw emotion. But I found something greater, the courage to start over, and the belief that dignity and kindness matter more than wealth or status. Those words echoed through the grand hall, capturing the hearts of everyone listening. It wasn't just a story of loss, it was a powerful testament to resilience, to rising from the ashes of despair and rebuilding a life with purpose. Emily Whitman wasn't just reclaiming a name or a fortune, she was redefining what it meant to be truly strong. Her journey had been marked by betrayal, heartbreak, and humiliation, yet through it all, she discovered a truth many never grasped, that the deepest wounds could become the foundation for the greatest victories. And tonight, as she stood before the crowd, she wasn't just sharing her past, she was lighting a spark of hope for anyone who had ever felt broken, forgotten, or defeated. This is the story of how Emily transformed pain into power, and how one woman's courage became a beacon for so many others. Early morning at the Grand Whitman estate was a world apart from the bustling streets of New York City, just miles away. Emily Harper had been on her knees, scrubbing the marble floors of the main hallway for 2 hours by 7 a.m., the chill of the polished stone seeping through her thin gloves. The silence was broken only by the distant clacking of heels. Charlotte Charles Whitman's personal assistant glided down the hall, her high-powered stride announcing the arrival of the day's business before the sun had fully risen. Emily had been working here for 3 years, the invisible fixture in this sprawling mansion of opulence. 42 rooms, endless corridors, and windows that framed the skyline like priceless paintings. Everything had to gleam perfectly, for Mr. Whitman was a man who demanded not just perfection, but an immaculate image. An image was everything to Charles Whitman. At 52, he was the titan behind Whitman Enterprises, a real estate empire that built skyscrapers faster than most built sandcastles. His name was a key that opened doors and stirred both admiration and fear in equal measure. As Emily lifted her gaze, she caught a glimpse of Charles adjusting his silk tie before a massive mirror, the lines on his face hardening as he barked into his phone about figures that meant nothing to her. "I want every detail finalized by Thursday," he commanded, without meeting her eyes. "The gala has to be flawless. 200 guests, no more, no less." Emily nodded silently, her heart already tightening. She was used to being overlooked, to blending into the background like a shadow, and she had learned it was safer that way. Charles turned to the grand ballroom, now just a hollow space waiting for its night of pomp and pretense. "Hire more servers," he said, voice cold as steel. His eyes locked onto Emily, sharp and assessing, as if she were a painting he was scrutinizing. She felt exposed, stripped raw by that gaze. "Good morning, Emily," Charles said, his voice deceptively smooth. "I need to speak with you." Her breath caught, but she masked it with a steady nod and began putting away her cleaning supplies. He stood by the marble fireplace, staring at an abstract painting no one had ever explained to her. "This year's gala will be different," he said, turning to face her. "You won't just clean up after it, you'll be part of it." Emily's stomach dropped. "Part of it," she repeated, barely believing the words. Charles smiled, but there was no kindness in it. "You'll dress appropriately and attend. Sit at the main table, dine with my guests. You'll act like you belong." Her mind raced. This wasn't an invitation. It was a trap. Charles wasn't a man who acted without purpose, and the venom in his tone confirmed it. "Why?" she whispered. "Because I want you to learn your place in this world," he said flatly. "To understand who you really are." The cold finality of his words crushed something inside her, but Emily refused to show weakness. "Fine," she said firmly. "I'll go." She didn't yet know how this night would change everything. Charles handed her a cheap, ill-fitting dress. "Nothing fancy. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of my guests." He chuckled cruelly. "And don't worry if you don't know how to behave. Everyone here will understand exactly where you come from." The word origin hung in the air like a slap. Emily clenched her jaw and left the room with only one thought: she would not give him the satisfaction of seeing her broken. That afternoon, while organizing books in the private library, Emily stumbled upon a photo that froze her blood. It was her dressed in an elegant gown, radiant and confident, smiling, at a charity gala surrounded by politicians, business moguls, and celebrities. The caption read, "Emily Whitman, heiress of the Whitman textile empire and one of New York's most elegant socialites." Memories flooded her flashing cameras, whispered greetings, the power to command a room just by walking into it. And then the crash, her father's ruined gambling losses that swept away the family fortune, the crushing deaths of her parents within months of each other, and her forced descent from high society to a life of anonymity and survival. Emily's past was a well-guarded secret, a phoenix buried beneath the ashes of tragedy. And now Charles had unknowingly invited not a mere cleaner, but a woman reborn with fire in her soul. She tucked the photo into her apron pocket and smiled for the first time in years. This Thursday, the Whitman estate would witness a reckoning. Emily Harper was no longer invisible, and she was ready. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. What do you think Charles Whitman truly expects from Emily at the gala? Is he underestimating her, or is there a deeper game at play? If you were in Emily's shoes, how would you prepare for such a high-stakes event? Share your thoughts and predictions below. The night before the gala, Emily sat alone in the cramped attic room she called home, a modest space hidden beneath the mansion's grandeur. The cheap dress Charles had given her lay on the bed, a cruel reminder of how little he truly valued her. Yet clutching the photo from the library, her heart beat with renewed purpose. This was no longer about survival, it was about reclaiming what was hers. With only 2 days left, Emily's world shifted. She wasn't a frightened maid anymore. She was Emily Whitman, the heiress who had lost everything but not her dignity. Memories of velvet gowns and whispered accolades stirred a fire she thought long extinguished. She pulled out her phone and searched for Eleanor Russo, an old family seamstress known for crafting gowns that were less clothes and more declarations. Eleanor answered after a few rings, her voice warm but surprised. "Emily, darling, it's been years. What brings you back to me? I need your help," Emily said, voice steady but urgent. "There's a gala, and I'm going to go. Not as a servant, but as the woman I once was." Eleanor didn't hesitate. "I'll have something ready by tomorrow. Trust me." The next afternoon, Eleanor's small workshop buzzed with energy. Fabric swirled through the air as she unveiled a deep emerald silk dress, elegant and commanding, yet understated. "This dress doesn't scream, it whispers, and people listen," Eleanor said with a knowing smile. Emily slipped into the gown and stood before the mirror. For the first time in years, she saw not a shadow but a queen. The dress hugged every curve with perfect grace, and the green of the silk made her emerald eyes blaze like never before. That evening, while Emily rehearsed her poise, Charles remained oblivious, his mind caught up in petty details of the event. "This is going to be the perfect night to remind everyone of my power," he boasted to his inner circle. "And the star of the show, my little cleaning lady. Let's see if she can even survive the spotlight." Emily had overheard this cruel remark earlier that day, concealed behind a door. Instead of breaking, her resolve hardened like steel. This wasn't a performance for Charles, it was a reckoning. The night of the gala arrived with a thunderstorm rumbling in the distance, a fitting backdrop for the storm about to unfold inside the Whitman estate. The grand ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers and flickering candlelight, the city skyline twinkling beyond the towering windows. 200 guests milled in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos, the air thick with champagne bubbles and hushed gossip. Emily entered quietly through the servants' entrance, her emerald dress catching the light, stealing breaths as she moved with the confidence of a seasoned socialite. Whispers rippled through the crowd as eyes darted toward the mysterious woman no one recognized, but everyone felt compelled to watch. Charles, standing at the head of the room, froze the moment he saw her. The smirk he wore faded into confusion, then disbelief. This was no meek maid in a cheap dress. This was a force reborn. Roberto Campbell, a powerful oil magnate who once greeted Emily with respect in high society circles, was the first to break the silence. His whiskey glass paused midair as he stared, lips parting in stunned recognition. "Emily Whitman," he murmured. The room's chatter dissolved into gasps and murmurs as more faces turned, recalling past galas where Emily was the belle of every ball. Marina Dubois, the elegant wife of a government minister, clutched her glass so tightly it trembled. Even the ambassador from France halted mid-conversation, eyes wide with astonishment. Emily made her way through the crowd with regal poise, Each step was a statement she had arrived not by invitation, but by destiny. The guests parted like the sea, many holding their breath, as the woman who had been hidden away for years reclaimed her place. Charles approached, a forced smile plastered on his face. "Good evening, Emily," he said, voice strained. "Thank you for coming." Emily's smile was calm, almost serene. "Thank you for the invitation, Charles. It's been a long time since I felt seen." She took her seat at the main table between Roberto and Marina, the very heart of the gathering. Conversation turned quickly to business, philanthropy, and politics. Emily spoke fluently in 4 languages, her knowledge of art, finance, and international markets dazzling everyone. She wasn't just back, she was elevated. During the main course, Marina leaned in curiosity, burning in her eyes. "Emily, we all wondered what happened with Whitman Textiles. You were expanding across Europe and then vanished. What changed?" Emily took a slow sip of her wine and exhaled softly. "My father's ambitions blinded us. He wagered everything on unstable markets. The crash was swift. In 6 months, everything was gone. My parents, they didn't survive the fallout. I was left with nothing but memories and resolve." The room fell silent, respect replacing gossip. Even Charles swallowed hard, guilt flickering behind his eyes. Later, as dessert was served, a young entrepreneur interrupted the polite conversation with a bold question. "Emily, are you planning to return to the business world?" Her eyes glimmered with determination. "I'm not just planning to return. I'm here to rebuild not the empire I lost, but something stronger, founded on wisdom, resilience, and purpose." Roberto raised his glass. To Emily Whitman, a reminder that true strength lies not in wealth, but in spirit. Charles looked around, realizing that the woman he tried to belittle had become the beacon of the night. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. What do you think Emily's next move will be? Should she forgive Charles and collaborate, or take a completely different path? How would you react if you were in her position? Share your thoughts below. The weeks that followed the gala were a whirlwind for Emily Whitman. She was no longer the invisible maid cleaning behind the scenes. She was stepping into boardrooms, commanding respect and making decisions that shaped the future of Whitman Enterprises. Yet beneath the surface, the journey was far from easy. Charles, once dismissive and cruel, struggled to adjust to the new reality. The man who had ruled the household with arrogance now found himself watching Emily rise with a quiet power that neither he nor anyone else had expected. At first, he resisted, clinging to the past, his pride bruised by her resurgence. But as Emily's vision took hold and the company began to grow again, even Charles had to admit there was something remarkable about her. One crisp autumn morning, Emily invited Charles to a meeting in the company's renovated headquarters, a symbol of the rebirth she was engineering. The office, once cold and lifeless, now buzzed with energy, filled with young talent eager to learn and grow. Charles, Emily began her tone steady but kind. "I know the past hasn't been easy for either of us. You made mistakes, I made mistakes, but we both want Whitman to succeed." He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I never saw how much I underestimated you. I'm sorry for everything." Emily smiled softly. "Apologies are a start. What matters now is what we do moving forward." They shook hands, sealing not just a business partnership, but a personal reconciliation. As months passed, Emily's influence spread beyond the boardroom. She championed programs to support workers displaced by economic shifts, funded scholarships for underprivileged youth, and spearheaded sustainable initiatives that earned her praise from environmental groups. Her story became one of hope and resilience, inspiring many who had faced hardship. One afternoon, she stood before a crowd at a charity event, sharing her journey, not just the triumphs, but the pain and the lessons learned. "I lost everything I thought defined me, my family, my fortune, my identity," she told the audience. "But I found something greater, the courage to start over, and the belief that dignity and kindness matter more than wealth or status." The room erupted in applause, many moved to tears. Back at home, Emily took moments to visit the modest graveyard where her parents rested. She knelt, placing fresh flowers, whispering words of gratitude and promise. "I'm not just rebuilding what we lost," she said quietly. "I'm building something that honors you both." One evening, as she returned from a long day, Charles met her at the door holding a small wrapped box. Inside was a framed photo from their early days before greed and power had poisoned their relationship. "Maybe this is a new beginning," he said simply. Emily nodded, feeling the weight of the past lift just a little. The story of Emily Whitman is not just about reclaiming lost fortune or social status. It's about recognizing that true power lies in forgiveness, resilience, and the willingness to change. It's about understanding that every fall can lead to a rise, and every ending can become a new beginning. Her journey reminds us all, no matter how far we fall, the human spirit can soar higher than ever before. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. What did you feel most deeply about Emily's journey? Did any part of her story resonate with your own experiences? How do you think forgiveness shapes our ability to move forward? If this story inspired you, comment 100 below and share where you're watching from. Let's build a community of hope and resilience together.